Hi, hello, my 어린이들. Today I'm going to give you 5 tips on studying that will be effective and that will really work for you because they worked for me. Let's get to it. Just a quick note before we get into the 5 tips. It's really important to make sure you stay hydrated while you study. If you become dehydrated, your brain doesn't really function to its full maximum capacity. Keep a note. So the first tip is to make a study guide. A lot of you already know I've put up videos on how to create a plan for your studying methods and your studying schedule. If you have a study guide, this will allow you to connect the topics and the concepts you really need to focus on. It'll also make it very productive if you prioritize the important information you have to remember and actively recall. The second method is to take notes. Now, we all love writing down notes and neatly organizing our notes. I know you love doing that because I love doing that too. However, you need to make sure you're not writing your notes word for word from the material you're studying with. Make them a lot more condensed and summarized by paraphrasing, not putting together words that are in the book itself. By using active learning methods, you can make sure your notes are summaries and condensed versions of the material that you're using instead of just writing the whole book and copying and pasting it. You can find unlimited amounts of videos on active learning, so make sure you do your research before you start studying. Now, it's very important when learning a second language or a third language or a fourth language that you get everything right and delivered correctly so the other person can understand you correctly. That's the reason why you're learning that language, right? Because you want them to understand what you're saying. So in the notes that you have created, make sure you review them every time you have finished a unit or a section so that you know you are pronouncing the words and delivering the messages or phrases that the unit has correctly. If you think you don't quite get what is being said, then make sure to go over it with a teacher or ask someone who has that language as their mother tongue. The fourth tip is to make sure you study your stuff, all the things you have studied, in intervals. Remember the famous graph, the curve of forgetting, how your brain can forget and how long it takes to forget information that is not actively recalled? If you want to make sure you're actively recalling the information you are learning, you need to review the stuff you have learned and make sure you have fully understood everything and that it's still actively somewhere stored in your brain in intervals. By doing this, you're reminding your brain that you absolutely need to know this stuff because later on you never know when you're going to use it. The last tip is very, very famous and a lot of teachers and instructors tell you to do this. It's to teach someone the materials you have learned. So when it comes to English, mothers raising children, they have the perfect situation to take the language that they have learned and teach it to their children or read books to them. By doing this, they're taking what they have learned and actively recalling the information and the pronunciation they have absorbed and using it by reading books to their children and describing the content that is in the book. Now, if you don't have children, you're single, you're young, and you have a big future ahead of you, no worries. All you have to do is take what you have learned, put it into a PowerPoint or Keynote presentation, and just pretend that you're teaching it to somebody. By doing so, you'll be able to figure out which parts you don't fully understand and which parts you have totally understood and absorbed and digested so that you can just correctly present it or teach it to whoever it is. If you don't have anyone you can teach this stuff to, just do it by yourself and record yourself presenting as if you're rehearsing a PowerPoint or a Keynote presentation. If you're not that into presentations, then just create a lesson plan. If you Google lesson plans, there are different templates you can download and create a lesson plan according to the materials that you have learned. Take the notes you made and put it into a lesson plan as if you are going to teach it to somebody. In order to figure out which one fits you just perfectly, You gotta go out there and explore the options. So instead of just sticking to the methods you have stuck with over the past however many years you've been studying, go out and explore the different methods of studying another language. Hey, it never hurts. I'll see you next week. Bye! Oh my gosh, it's raining so much. It's like raining. So many things to do today.